Methadone compared to heroin is cool, but if you could literally manage to not... If you could manage to not be on methadone, I mean, that's probably way cooler.
To just go through it?
Yeah, to just go through it. Like, if you think it's necessary for your recovery, because there's a lot of people that I know personally that are very strongly against it, but they're still in their addiction. I mean, I'm technically still an addict too, I guess, because will withdraw from this, and I am still, like, I'm going down on my dose, so it's like, it's not like I'm just completely sober, but I'm in a much different place than I was when I was living with the people that are so strongly against it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah.
Right. But you saw me go through the withdrawals twice at least, and it was horrible. And you went through it too. So
yeah, it's just he went through hard to. The whole point for me of the methadone was to not steal from people to get high. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what. And really, when I first started dosing on methadone, it was like, oh my god, I can get high and like actually get really high and stay really high for like the whole day for free and get a ride there for free, and I don't have to steal from nobody, and it was a lot easier to just do that than go steal from people or ask for fronts or hustle something up. Like, it was just so much easier to call transportation, get a ride to the methadone clinic, get high. And then the methadone clinic was like a drug dealer. Like, they obviously were like, go up on it. That's the whole point of the methadone clinics, is that they are, like, everything in America is capitalism. Like, we're a capitalistic society, so there's a customer there. Even if it's medicine, there's a customer there, and we're the customer. They're basically paying for it for us. They want us to be on it as much as we can, and the more we are on it, the more they get paid for it by the government. It's a really screwy system, and that's like, it really kind of speaks volumes when you think about it's supposed to be a recovery program, but when it all comes down to it, all they see us as, like, you go 2 people away from me, and that, like, a person that doesn't deal with me, they just see my statistics. I'm just a number to them, and they want me to be there as much as I can.
But you're dosing down. You're almost done.
Yeah, and I think
it's been 2 years. So
it's been 2 years. When I was talking to, like, one of my first counselors, they said that methadone program is like a 2-year program. Like, it's supposed to be a 2-year program, and there's obviously people, like when I was first dosing there, that have been dosing for 20 years. Their backs were hunched over, and that's actually why Trevor was so against methadone. Is so against methadone, is because it drains your serotonin levels. It's really bad for you. The longer you're on it, the harder it is for your body to recover if you were to ever get off of it. It's like finding the perfect balance between giving your mind time to recover, and then, because my body will recover as long as I'm past the point to where I miss my dose, I'm really sick right now, oh my god, I'm gonna go get some heroin. No, as long as I'm past that point where I'm like, I can just stick this out, I'll either get my dose or... We were in Arizona. We had missed our dose for 2 days, and methadone is out of your system in 3 days. And we were honestly thinking about but the withdrawals last up to like 3 months or longer. Really, you can have withdrawals depending on how high you dose. Your withdrawals can be really, really bad. Like, worse than heroin, not deadly, obviously, but just really bad. That's why
I can't imagine. Wow.
They never want somebody to just go cold turkey, like on 100 milligrams. They try to wean you off of it because that's just really dangerous. When you get down, what I'm doing is I'm like at I don't even know what I'm at because I'm doing it blind, but it's like 20 milligrams.
Yeah, they do this really cool thing here in Wisconsin where they will allow them to do a blind taper where they don't know how much they're dosing, and they just go down and down and down and down on the dose. And all of a sudden one day you're going to go in there and they're going to be like, you're about done, buddy.
People all the time in the clinic are like, what's a book? When you go up there to the dosing window, you have to tell them your dose usually. And when I go up there and I don't tell them my dose, they're like, you mean this is your dose? And usually if you're a blind doser, you're not supposed to, like you said, if you're a blind doser, you're not supposed to know what it is. They've told me it more than once, so I've known what I was dosing, and they're like, oh man, you're a blind doser. I'm like, yeah. So now I just go up there and tell them I'm a blind doser, and the people behind me are like, what's a blind doser? And so I'm like...
So you can tell them, hey, you can actually get off this stuff faster, or get off, in a better way without knowing, because it's really...
It's a mind fuck, but it's not just... A lot of people aren't even willing to go down. A lot of people are like, I'm cool where I'm at. Maybe they're not ready to get off of it. Like, that's the whole part of it that sucks so bad. It literally, it's really addictive. It's just as addictive as heroin. It sucks. It sucks, people. It sucks. It's like a really good way to get high. And there's this guy that goes, and that's the thing, is that they don't kick people out for getting high while they go there. Like, there's this guy that goes in there with his arms all bloodied all the time, and his eyes are all half closed or all the way
so
closed.
He's just using it as another way to get high while he's getting high. Or
he's using it as something just in case he can't get high someday so he can still stay well. But it's an opioid blocker. But if you try really hard, you can still get really high on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you go past that opioid blocker, you're just really high. Awful. But back to the beginning question, I think you asked what was...
Yeah, well, just your experience on it so far.
I am using methadone against a heroin problem, not as a final solution, but as a launching pad to success. I'm trying to... My plan, because you have to have a plan for success before you go into... You can't just go in winging stuff. My plan is to wean down off of the methadone until I get down to like 5 or 3 milligrams. Just stop dosing, and then after 3 days, I'm gonna go in and get a Vivitrol shot. And a Vivitrol shot lasts for like a month. Then after that,
you should be good.
I'm gonna be good. Just in case I have some sort of just some sort of weird, because honestly, and this is the problem, is that I recently have had dreams about like getting heroin and getting high on some heroin and like putting it in my sock like I used to do, and pulling it out of my sock and just looking at it and like holding it and handing it to people and getting it passed back to me, and just like all the shit that was like part of the addiction that it was like subconsciously like my favorite parts about it, that I like, you didn't realize you really enjoyed until you're like, shit, you're sleeping and you're like, comes creeping back on you. I'm trying to work through my triggers, which I don't really have anymore, other than just like basic shit, like seeing people shooting up on like documentaries about drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Don't watch those.
That's right.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we like, because sometimes we'll try to watch something that's like, like a crime show, and we'll see somebody just like.
Mark tried to watch Breaking Bad with me, and I was like, I can't watch this. It's too triggery. Oh my gosh, it's too much. It was way too much. I totally get that. Yeah, you have to be careful. Just like on a diet, you're not supposed to watch shows about cake.
Feel that.
You've been working, you got cleaned up, so not a lot of triggers. We moved 2,000 miles away. That's something else that we talked about in the last one that we just did, is that we moved 2,000 miles away. Other than the methadone clinic, we really don't have a way to get... I mean, you can always find whatever, but...
I'm sure I can find some at the methadone clinic.
We are not as comfortable as we were in our last town, in that respect.
Yeah, well, there's obviously... We came here with other priorities. We have a name already established here, that we have like a reputation established for us before we got here. Like, we're the pastor family like that. We can't just be out there freaking just sitting outside the drug house. You know what I'm saying? Unless we're waiting to give them rides to. You know what I'm saying? Like, out of the goodness of our hearts.
And we
for
will.
No other reason
and
that
part of the ministry is that sometimes we have to give people rides to the methadone clinic.
Or
I'd way rather
clinic,
give them a ride to or from the methadone clinic than I will to or from a drug dealer's house. And believe me, it's really obvious when they ask.
Oh, that's the other thing, is that we are well equipped to decipher what they're trying to do. When they have me sit outside somebody's house and they're like, I'm getting a bus pass, and they come out with a crumpled $10 bill, we know that they either sold some drugs or they bought some drugs and they have $10 in change in their hand. They didn't get no bus pass. Why would they have the $10? Like, it's just like shit like that. Stuff like that. It's really I'm not a judgmental person, but that's kind of the superpower you get as being a drug addict.
From being in there,
and I'm not, and that's the other thing, is that I was always very honest about, once people caught me and they're like, hey, are you doing this? Oh, well, that's not true. I'm actually, I can't say that. I
You
really
weren't
can't say I
always.
was not
But
honest.
he's a terrible liar. In his defense, he can only lie about it for like a second, and then he always cops to it because he can't lie very well at all.
I don't know, Mom.
You're really not that good, Talyn. Everybody knows.
Nobody knows, but then nobody said that to me.
We all know.
Nobody wanted it.
Yeah, but we all know. We just watch you just ridiculous.
Stupid,
Be dumb, because what are you going to do
I don't know
at that point?
Well, everything's been pretty peaches and cream. No, it's not. It has not been. That's the other part. The stress of being a heroin addict obviously is way worse than the stress of being a sober person any day of the week, period. Like, the lowest low is better than the highest high any day of the week. Other than that, though, the stress of being a sober person is fucking rough sometimes. Like, and it's just like, and the worst part about it is, like, you can hide from crackhead stress, but you cannot hide from bills. You can't hide from from, like, not the police, but, like, from, like, people that, like, are, like, mad at you because you owe them money. They're like, hey, where's our fucking $500 for our rental car? Like, literally, like, where's our money? And you're just like, you can't hide from that. And it's like, if they garnish your wages because of it, that, like, you have a kid to take care of. It's like real stuff that you can't, like, run away from. No, that is not a real situation. That didn't happen to me. It was almost what happened to me, but it didn't happen to me.
There's also a lot of fear that isn't there. There's a lot of weird paranoia. Like, when you see a police officer, your blood doesn't just run cold automatically because you're like, am I about to go to jail?
Not me.
Really?
I don't care. Oh, fuck no. And that's
really?
And that's the other thing, Mom, is that since I don't have anything to worry about, Mom, I am bold in front of cops. I'm getting bolder. Let me put some more and juice in that. I've got juice. Yeah, I'm getting more and more bold when it comes to police officers, just because now I have nothing to worry about. My title's clean. My license is clean.
The paranoia goes away because you're legal.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're not afraid when you see when your blood doesn't run cold because you're afraid of, like, am I going to jail? Kind of. No, you're like, I'm legit. You know what? They could totally search this car if they want to.
That's the other part about it. Now they still can't search my car, and I can be a dick about it, and I can be down. Fuck
well,
you,
if you're just respectful and say it goes against my Fourth Amendment rights because you know your amendments, then just so you know, it's the Fourth Amendment right.
Now I could,
yeah,
but
you could say I'm really not comfortable with that. But if you need to or you want to, you know what? Respectfully, go ahead, because I'm not scared. You're not going to find anything in my vehicle. Unless one of the crackheads that we gave a ride to left something in there, which hopefully that didn't happen. But I'm not afraid of the police now.
The only other thing that...
So that's all good. And it's weird how just your priorities have changed and your whole focus of life has changed. You have a baby. You have a whole damn baby, as Grace puts it.
It's not even,
She is so cute.
Or to just...
For diapers.
Somehow. Just to find something to just get something every day.
So there was a movie that came out a long time ago. I think it's a boxing movie from the 20s, 100 years ago in the 20s. And there's a scene there where it shows the mom early in the morning and they have a bunch of little kids. She gets the milk out of the fridge and there's just like an inch at the bottom of the milk container. And she puts it in the water and she fills it up with water. So it looks like milk, but it's mostly water. And he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And she goes, "We can't afford to buy milk."
Oh,
and so he at the end he wins the fight, the big fight where he's gonna get money, and they're like, "What were you fighting for?" He said, "I'm fighting for milk. I'm just fighting for real milk." Cinderella Man, yeah, that's the one. I think so. Yeah, and he's fighting for milk, but that's kind of what it is. You still have the drive or the urge to be prosperous at the end of the day, but it's not for drugs. It's for diapers. It's for milk. It's for the baby. That's a interesting place to evolve to.
Yeah, well,
sometimes a baby doesn't change everything. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it makes it worse. But we got lucky. We got a good one.
It all started when I think I literally knew I did not want to be a drug addict forever. Also, because I had always like made little adventures to go get clean. Throughout my drug addiction, True. I had always made little adventures, and they never ever worked. And honestly, to be very, very, very brutally honest, I am still an addict, and I am still in recovery. this one still is working, but I'm not dead yet, so I'm fighting every day to make sure it works, obviously, but I'm just saying that this one's working for now, as it stands. So far it's working, basically.
And you know what I think? That it's a choice.
It's choice, but I
don't think it's
a
hereditary.
lot of I don't think it's, but the disease...
And I don't think it's a disease. Because if it's a disease...
Mom, but the disease part...
If it's a disease, then that's a cop-out. Now it's an excuse. Then there's nothing you can do about it. It's a disease. You have a disease, there's nothing you can do. Sorry about
Mom,
if it's a choice, then I can choose not to do drugs. I can make that choice.
Let's say something bad happened. Let's say if shit hits the fan, like literally, and we lost everything. If you lost Mark for some reason, not that he died or like you guys just split up. You and I got sent back to Tucson. We had nowhere else to go. We were bad, down on our luck. We literally lost our shit. You can't tell me that there's not a chance that you would not go get high. You cannot tell me that and look me straight in the face and be dead ass honest right now, because you know what? Right now, I think a lot of our staying sober has to do with the people we've surrounded ourselves with, which is a choice. But that disease part comes in, is that the longer we stay sober and fight the good fight, the easier it will be to go back. If shit did hit the fan, it would be to stay sober. But I'm saying that like right now, like tomorrow, if shit did hit the fan, we lost everything, we had to go back to Tucson, just you and I. We would fucking end up getting. I'm not saying I'm weak. I would fucking. I would do it. I'm weak still. I'm not proud, and that's why I think that at least. You can think that your drug addiction is a choice. I think that my shit's a disease. That's why I think my shit's a disease.
For me, when we were just talking about this, for me, it transcends beyond that, because it's, for me, a responsibility that I owe to the people that I have been talking to via this podcast and online, that I feel responsibility to stay sober.
You should owe a responsibility, but a lot of people say that if you owe what if all those people turned on you or stopped following you? That's the whole part about owing your responsibility to stay sober to other people, it being a flaw. You can't owe your responsibility to stay sober to other people. You have to owe it to yourself. You have to want to stay sober for yourself, or else it's somewhere down the road, there's a possibility that shit might not be there anymore, and what's gonna happen then? That's the whole point. Right. That's the whole theory.
No, I get that.
So the longer you surround yourself with those people, which is a good thing, obviously, the easier it is to stay sober.
Okay, so this is where my newfound realization of what my soul's purpose comes into play. Okay, so I believe that my actual soul's purpose, the purpose of my actual soul, that is connected to the Spirit of God and has the Spirit of God interwoven within it, is to go back and give a book report, basically, of my story and what I did and the experiences I had. And if I don't have a quality experience to give to God when I get there, and it's full of excuses and, well, I was addicted and all this crap, this giant freaking pity party, that's on me. That affects my actual soul. No and no and no. I'm not trying to give a pity party. I'm not trying to give a bunch of excuses of, oh, I was addicted and that's why I did this and it was just awful and I got addicted. Yeah. No and no, it's an excuse. And I don't want to have to give that excuse. I want to say, look, I was addicted and then I overcame and this is what I learned and it was exhilarating and this is the next adventure that I had and this is the next adventure that I had. And I didn't revisit that because, oh yeah, I learned from that and I moved on and now I made a better choice and I got control of my thoughts and my feelings and my desires and all of that, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that ever again because I already did that. I already had that experience. I already learned the lessons involved in it. And now it's time to move on to the next adventure, because that's all we have. Life is too short to stagnate in an addiction.
For sure, yeah.
For the rest of your life. You have to continue and have some sort of
obviously, and that's the whole...
I already did that. I was 28 years on methamphetamine for the most part.
I know. I get it.
I can't waste waste any more time with that. I'm going to be 50. You know what I mean? That's half my damn life.
And what I'm trying to convey to you is that you are doing all that. You're going to do all that. I'm not doubting you in any way, shape, or form. But I'm saying that people live with diseases all the time and choose not to let it affect them all the time. So you can live with the disease and you can not let it affect you. It's just literally letting it affect you or not. People live with herpes all the time. People live with stuff like that all the time. And is that for everybody?
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be this weird.
People live with herpes all the time.
Yes.
That's why I walk in.
Yes.
I'm like, whoa, is there something you're supposed to tell me here?
Surprise.
The gift that keeps on giving.
The gift that keeps on giving. No.